This is the United States. And this year, there are over 38 million children with their own phones. And on each of those phones, an app store that holds over 1 million video games. At the convenience of a tap, many of these games have in-app purchases, which can lead to dangerous cycles of spending. In this video, I'll be exploring how gaming has changed, and more importantly, what implications are brought forth for the future of our entertainment. This is Dungeon Keys. When I was just a baby, no older than 12 months, I spoke my first words. Star Fox, a Nintendo 64 classic. To me, video games serve as a vessel of personification to the user. I think we can all relate on the grounds of how we choose to spend our time will indeed purchase a part of our passion. This is especially true to those like myself who have spent thousands of hours in virtual spaces. To get a better understanding of where we stand with modern gaming, we must look back at the early years of development. The year is 1998. As the cold November approaches, a well-known video game publisher is closing in on one of their biggest releases yet. The fifth of its series, and the first on the newest console, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is released. A true precedent of greatness within gaming, due in part that this was a large period of time where the creation of games seemed to follow a simplistic approach of, I want to make something others will enjoy. We're talking about classics like Final Fantasy III, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Mortal Kombat, the one where he pulls out the spine, Doom, Warcraft, Quake, Diablo. Nope, not that one, this one. Resident Evil, and Need for Speed, just to name a few. Knowing that, why am I bringing it up in this video? What do games from multiple decades ago have to do with modern gaming? It's the soul, the essence, it's the respect for your time and hard-earned money. Now, in fairness, we live in a time where indie developers and honest AAA studios do create great experiences for us to enjoy. Games that were clearly made only by artistic genius and countless hours of grueling development. However, while game developers have certainly always profited off of their games, to the big boys, more now than ever, it's, I want to make something we can sell, and ideally, infinitely. Not to be necessarily enjoyed for the game's intricate design choices, engaging gameplay loops, mechanics, nor uniqueness, but rather the saleability of a series. Predatory systems, or just half-baked games due to either crunch and or to turn a quick profit. Now, I've spent a big chunk of my life enjoying many of these games. However, as many of us would agree, once you start selling power levels and shortcuts to the players, you've lost the essence of dignity. Ultimately, what we see here is a stark difference in quality of experience and the passion of decision makers surrounding these games. Whether it's their decision or not, many developers can fall into this monetary cycle, for it is all a vice, one that excites investors and decision makers to the allure of profit, and the one that excites gamers to speed up the boring content to get to the good content, or little Timmy accidentally using mom's credit card for this. My point of all of this is to convey that, in general, when we first flapped our wings, the bang for your buck was fair, where your money took you on an extension of the experience, more than simply the power of your character or the power of its image. DLCs have their own pile of worms, but I'll leave that to a video of its own. Mobile gaming in particular has been an industry leader in pay-to-win structures in the gaming space and especially to the youth, which is the underlying idea behind this entire video. How will the youth of gamers make a fair comparison between exploration of interest and predation? Those of which have grown up in a gaming environment more saturated with these monetary structures than ever before. The timeline of modern gaming has a clear path to getting it twisted. And to that end, my fear is that these business strategies will be further normalized and accepted as a reputable form of entertainment. To me, in consideration to entertainment, time well enjoyed is equivalent to time well spent. The tricky thing being that usually with video games in particular, our fulfillment or joy that we find is derived from fantasization of reality. Add a touch of suspending belief and boom, you've unlocked immersion capabilities. What makes this tricky is that with pay to win among other microtransactions, is that you are now able to buy your way further into the fantasy. In a lot of these scenarios, it is not my estimation that these monetary structures create a, quote, time well enjoyed culture. They create addiction. Addiction to the RNG of loot boxes, or simply the addiction of a completionist. Even with free to play, a lot of times nowadays, it's really just a free trial to the game. Only 6 more DLCs till I reach the end of the game. So the question I want to pose is, how has the monetization of gaming changed, and is it good? Better now than it once was? The practice of selling these games, the quantity of games sold, and additional means of monetization have drastically changed the landscape for not only the producer, but also the consumer. See, because this video isn't to rag on top corporations for the amount that they bring in, but rather to question the methods and morality of how that money is brought in. Globally, last year mobile gaming totaled 230 billion downloads, 170 billion in consumer spend, and 3.8 trillion hours of screen time. All of this to say that there's a reason many companies are moving to mobile. Top corporations and their teams are able to make these games with far less development time, cost, and I'd wager effort. Enter Diablo Immortal. A game so bad, it motivated me to write a whole video to vent about it and what games like it represent in the gaming marketplace. It is unfortunately available on PC, Android, iOS, and Steam Deck. Does anybody play with Steam Deck? Anyways, now many other fantastic videos and articles have been published covering Diablo Immortal, so odds are you're probably already familiar with it. Knowing that, I won't go into detail too far, but let's do a quick recap to spell out what I'm talking about. You've got hyper-condensed content that would normally take months, so long as you're willing to spend your dinner money, multiple overpowered stacking power passes, forcing players to open in-game shop to claim daily rewards, 22 in-game currencies to obfuscate value and how much you've already spent, predatory psychological cycles to entice you to keep playing, disgusting amounts of RNG through legal loopholes, bland storyline, and in my opinion, average gameplay that was comparable to Diablo 3, which is okay because I love Diablo 3, but that came out over 10 years ago. Thinking back to that 38 million number, it's my hope that this video conveys why games like these are toxic to the future of gaming. Nonetheless, it's clear to see that casting integrity and morality to the wind can be incredibly lucrative. It's just video games, truly. This is entertainment, pastime. However, I'm sure we can agree that it's getting a bit out of hand. Times do in fact change, and while I want to take the bad with the good, I'm sat here feeling like an old man talking about back in my day. For many of us, this entertainment is used as an escape for the reality that we find ourselves in. Yet, this behavior is clearly rewarded with record profits, so maybe I'm just dead wrong. I am, however, just one man, and my understanding is limited, biased, and holds a fair amount of nostalgia. When doing research for this video, I came upon a bill that was introduced in 2019 that, if made into law, would ban these pay-to-win and loot box games altogether for people under 18. Now, this type of action is extreme, so I think a good first step is to just not buy anything that you wouldn't make much use of anyways. Or to say, actually, I don't need that new skin for a character I hardly play. Instead, I ask that you consider directing that money towards more independent developers. You'd be surprised with how much value you can attain from a few new experiences. An anecdote from me has always been Faker of League of Legends, by far the most famous and recognized player in the space. The man never uses skins in not only pro play, nor normal ranked games. To me, it symbolizes that you don't need to be flashy or dripped out to be significant. to show the kids of the new generation that you shouldn't need a fat stack just to simply have fun. Times change, and so can we, but I can't do it alone. So, in the words of Blizzard themselves,
if humanity is to survive, they must stand together and face the rising darkness. Though that may not be enough.
thank you for watching. Overall, my question is, what do you think? Has gaming changed in such a way that these monetization practices are here to stay? If you have any opinion on this video or the topic at large, please leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by pressing like and subscribe for more videos sorta like this one. I must have rewritten this script a half dozen times at this point. I've seen many videos that cover this topic and adjacent topics, but my hope with this video is that I provided a new perspective. Until next time, I'll be in the dungeon.